Hello my crafty friends, it's Beverleigh here over at Crafting Chaos, and I left you last time where we just made a very simple shaped reindeer card using some of the techniques that we've learnt over the last few months. What I'm going to be doing is using this now on a different card, and what we're going to be making this time is an interactive card, and it's what I refer to as a penny slider. You may know it as something else, but that's what I know it as. So I'm going to start off by bringing on a basic rectangle, well square actually, and I'm going to resize it to 8 inches by 8 inches. Do that by maintaining the aspect ratio. So what we're actually trying to achieve here is an 8 by 8 card, which will be actually, when we fold it in half here, a DL size card. So it's going to be 8 inches long by 4 inches high, and it's going to be a tent fold. So I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to change the dimension for that dimension to 4, so it's half the size of that one. Now if that happens and you've resized the wrong side, it doesn't matter because we can flip it afterwards. So I'm just going to select both, and I'm going to line it up to the back and also to the top. Then I'm going to edit and group everything initially, and then I'm going to use this properties box and I'm going to rotate it by 90 degrees, like so. So now we've got this, and I'm going to edit and ungroup, so we can now see that we've got that smaller rectangle there, and I'm just going to leave it there for the time being so that we can see the size of the card. Okay, so now I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to make a offset line that is about 0.08 inches. So I'm just going to do that now by going on edit, create an offset line, and I want it to be inward by 0.08 inches, and I'm going to say OK. So now if I take the one that we've just made and delete the one that we duplicated, that should form a perfect matting layer for that piece. Oops, I've just deleted it, so I'll undo that. I just wanted to use the arrow so you could see where I'm going with this. So if I click on the big card that's underneath the 8 by 8 and make that pale pink, and then I click on this one on top and make it a darker pink, you can see that that's a nice matting layer all the way around. Now I'm going to zoom back to fit to matte, and I'm going to take this out because I don't want it to be pink, I want it to be white. Now the backing card can be any colour of your choice depending on who you're going to be making the card for. So I'm just going to select those two now at the top and create the score line. So I'm going to line them to the top and also to the left, and then I'm going to click on the smaller of the two, double click to expose the nodes, and I want this node between this node and this node to be this turquoise colour first, and then hit minus. Then I want this bit here between these two to be turquoise, and then I'm going to hit minus. That will leave us with this one in the middle. Now if I go straight onto this view sort of zooming tool and click on that, that will automatically select that line for me. Then I can make it a cutting line and a perforating line. And then if I click on the selection tool here, I can click on my mat, just drag enough round so that I've got the card and the score line, edit and group. That's given us our base card for our project, and we're going to bring this one back to the top, the white one, because it's this one that we're going to make the penny slider for. Okay, so I'm just going to zhuzh that over to that side for a minute, and I'm going to be closing the properties box so you can see where I'm going next. Next I'm going into the borders, and I want this border that's like a wavy pattern, like so. Now I don't want it to be quite that wide, and I don't want it to be quite that wavy, so I'm just going to select it, make it not as tall, so that a penny wouldn't go through the centre. And I'm going to take a look at it. I'm going to bring on another basic shape that I'm just going to use as a cutting tool, if you will. So I'm just going to bring on the basic shapes, a square, for argument's sake. I'm going to fit this up to the card where I want it to be, and I'm going to centre it to the base of the card, if you will, on the vertical axis, so that I can position my square so that it's got a little bit of space both sides, but then it's going to be an even bumpety, if you will, going across an even undulating slot, if you will. So I'm going to click on that one, make sure that the square is on top, and it is, and then I can click on the square, click on that one, and I'm going to edit. In fact, before I do that, I'm just going to make a duplicate of the square. I'm going to click on the square, click on that line, edit, process the overlap, and remove overlap. And that's made that shorter. Then I'm going to position this in a similar position here on this side. Again, making sure that the square's on top, and in this case it isn't. When I click there, that's selected. So I'm going to send that back one layer and then make sure that the square's on top, and it is. So I'm going to select both and again process the overlap and remove the overlap. And I'm just going to leave the squares to the side now. At the moment, that can be moved about. And I'm just going to undo that, and I'm going to select both of them and line them up on the vertical axes. Now, I actually want that to be lower so that when I've got my reindeer in position, it's going to scoot along that track, but then we can put a bit of background stuff in on the background as well. So what I'm going to do now, making sure that that's on top and that they're selecting the other one underneath, I'm going to edit, process the overlap and subtract. And that's going to punch out that hole. Now, just so we can see it, obviously I'd want this in white really, but just so we can see what's happening, I'm making it a colour. So now you can see we've punched that one out. So what we need now is something to put the penny slider on. So I'm going to bring a circle on, and I'm going to make it at a size that's less. So I'm going to make it less than 1/2 inch. I'm going to try to go for about, hang on, I've just made the aspect ratio not correct there. So I'm just going to make it about 0.4 inches and see what that's looking like. So 0.4 by 0.4 and say OK. Now hopefully that's going to be big enough. If you think that's going to be too small, then you can make it a little bit bigger. So we're going to put this in position where it's going to fit onto the penny slider, and it could be a penny or a 2-penny, whichever the disc fits best. Depends on your currency and what coins you have. So that's going to go on this side, and the other bit's going on the other side, and the penny goes on the other side, so that you've got this to can slide along. So you need 2 of those, like so. One from the front and one from the back. And then we're going to look at our reindeer. So this is going to bring on the card now. We're going to manoeuvre the top layer, which should obviously pop up on double foam pads, so that you've got room for your single foam pads with your penny slider on the inside. Then we're going to bring on the reindeer. And I don't need the black piece, so I'm going to delete it, but I do need the nose. Then I'm going to, and I showed you how to make the reindeer in the last video. So now I'm just going to line it up, and I'm going to line it up on the central and vertical axes, and then I'm going to edit and group it. Now, the reason I've grouped it, because you can see it's miles too big for this full file. So I'm going to shrink it down, like so, until it fits on my card. And I want it to fit on my card so its feet are more or less at the bottom, like so. And the idea is on the penny slider it'll go wobbling along like so, and entertain the children. So you'd stick this disc to that on the back, and then with the foam pad you'd stick this one behind and on the foam pad with the penny slider in between, and then it can slide between the slot. And I do intend to have a go at making this, so you can, and I hope the video comes out and my camera doesn't go flat again and it ends up not being recorded, but that's where that's going to go. Now it might be that circle now for your reindeer's nose is going to be too small to fit up, to cut out too small of a circle, and if that's the case, what I suggest you do is you just either paint it on or cut yourself a small one with a scissors or a punch. So what we're going to do now is, I thought we might have some decoration in the back, so I'm going to put a couple of stars. I'm just going to duplicate those so that we've got a few stars in the sky. And then I wanted a snowflake, and I'm just going to shrink it down a bit. I'm going to bring it to the top, and I'm going to position that in the centre, and then maybe just do a duplicate of that, make it just slightly smaller, and put that off to the left. And I might have another star over here, off to the right, this one, and another one, just so that we've got a bit of interest to our background. So then I'm going to select all of the elements that we've just put in position. Whoops, I need to just move that one. So I've just moved it, not where I want it to be. So again, I'm just going to manoeuvre them till they're in a position where I like them. So I'm trying to get that one fairly central, but I'm not necessarily, it's not essential that it's 100% perfect. I'm going to position these here and put just another snowflake there. So it's just giving a little bit of interest to the top of the card. And you could actually put a piece of glitter card or something similar, glitter paper, behind so that they sparkle. And I'm just selecting those, I'm going to group them. Then I'm selecting the green layer, and I'm going to edit, process the overlap, and subtract. And then that should have punched out the holes for that, and when we move that into position, you can see that it's actually done that. So now what we would do is assemble the card, make sure the reindeer is on top for the file so you can see. You would obviously need to ungroup your reindeer so that you can cut each of those layers individually. You might want to save a copy of your star. I can get rid of those squares, and I'm just going to select both of those and move them down so that they're actually on the sheet, on the page, so that I can download it. And that is my penny slider card for, I think it'd be nice for the kids. So that's that. I'm going to go up to this part here. I'm going to save it as the reindeer penny slider. Like so. And then I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to save it as another project. Then I know I'm definitely not overwriting something. And then I could go to the download button and download it to my machine. And if I've now got the CM900, so I did upgrade a few weeks ago, and now I can send my files wirelessly. So I would hit that one and send it across to my machine, so it should be there waiting for me now. Alternatively, if you don't have that, you have a CM600, you'd hit this one, download it to your USB on your PC, and take your USB to the machine. Okay, so that's it for this video. So again, if you've enjoyed it, please like, share and subscribe. And I think the children in your life will love this one. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.